This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We have another quarterback off the board, as expected. Curtis Rourke, drafted by the San Francisco 49ers. The next the next Brock Purdy, huh? Are we going to be talking about in 8 months Curtis Rourke winning like 4 straight starts and throwing for 8 touchdowns and 1 interception over the course of those starts? Well, I cannot hear Will for what that is worth. So maybe we could fix that if that is the case. Having a little technical issue there. All right, Will Hill with us at Not The Will Hill up on social media. Let me know when they get him, guys. All right, let's run around the scoreboard here and check out what's going on. Philadelphia and Chicago, bottom of the 6th inning. We have a 2-2 count right now. Philly up on top, 9-2. Runner on first. Chicago trying to get back into this thing, but that has not been a game that has gone well for the Chicago Cubs. Current in-game numbers right now for Major League Baseball. We'll get to what we're sweating out here in the NBA momentarily. But right now, let's go through some of these. That one, very big spread. Actually, money line's off. You want to lay a run line there, 7.5 plus 135 to the favorite side. 13.5 the total there in the 7th inning, shaded under minus 140. White Sox Athletics, Chicago pouring it on. The Athletics out in Sacktown. Game goes over the pre-flop total of 9. So we have another over in Sacramento. 10-2 right now, 7th inning, 7.5 point spread, if you will, run line, with a total of 13.5 there. Other games that are currently underway, still knotted up between the Rangers and the Giants. Thank you, San Francisco. We had a 2-0 lead for the Rangers. I had a money line price on them to win the first 5. They do not get there. It is 2-2 now, still in the 7th. Total 6.5 under minus 120. Money line price minus 225 on the San Francisco Giants. And that 2-run shot, the difference between the Mets and the Nationals now 185, 8.5 with a minus 125 price tag on the over, minus 375 for the Mets, who are up 2-0 right now. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder up 108-96, 3.5 minutes left to go in this one. I don't know if we have Will back or not, but Will,
oh, yeah.
Okay, how are we feeling here? Do you think I got a shot at Thunder Memphis 108-96, 3.5 minutes left to go? I laid 10.5.
Of course you got a shot. You're up 12. You only need to win by 11. Of course you got a shot. You got to feel like OKC's in good shape to to pull away even further here. It'd be a tough beat for anyone that took the 15.5 with Memphis, where you were within inside the number the entire game, and OKC is within range here to give you a bad beat, front door cover. But yeah, pretty much the only thing in doubt here are these live numbers. These the pre-flop spreads. It looks like Memphis is headed to the line. I can't tell if that's a 2-shot foul, 3-shot foul, or that was just on the floor.
I mean, it was like a
bad
pump
one by SGA.
Yeah, it was a pump fake. I would assume that is. I cannot tell whether or not Memphis is in the bonus or not. So you're right. This actually might be a 3-shot foul.
It's a bad one.
Yeah, that is, and that's a tough one for somebody like me who's got this number here. 108-96, now 108-97 with Desmond Bane at the free throw line. We should know for our audience with 3:14 left to go. 16 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists on 6 of 18 shooting for Bane. Remember, no John Morant here for a Grizzlies team that I think is ready to hang these up and get out of here. I don't know about you. By the way, it's only a 2-shot foul, so that's good. 108-98, 3:14 left.
Yeah, must have had a foot on the line, or they called it a common foul. As we start to sort of diagnose these teams that are on the way out or look to be on their way out, what do you do? Not that we have to spend a lot of time on it. What do you do if you're Memphis? Because you get some good players. You're gonna have to pay a lot of these guys. You're good, but you're not good enough. You're clearly not a title team. The last thing you want to do is be stuck in this NBA purgatory where you're anywhere between a 6, 7, 8 seed and you're in the play-in. Like, what do you do if you're the manager of the Grizzlies? I make you the GM.
I don't know, man. You're probably trading for you're probably getting some sort of secondary player for you. You've got a lot of assets. I don't know if you're breaking the bank for some of these guys, but maybe see what's on the market to add another shot creator with you. Here's the problem, though. It's numerous for this team. Injuries were a part of this season. The other part is your best player has played just over 50% of his games since his rookie season. That's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form, and that's also probably not changing anytime soon.
No. And I don't know what that trade value is like if you decide, you know what, Morant, I know he's popular here, but he doesn't play enough. Let's see what we can get for him. I don't know, like, our team's knocking down your door to give you whatever picks and equal superstar.
And don't forget,
it's going to be tough.
He's not even not available. He's also kind of a pain in the ass.
Exactly.
I mean, right?
Exactly.
Like,
It's a
like
tough situation, isn't it?
Yeah, like he's not the worst player when you talk about like infractions and all this sort of stuff, but
Sure.
he's not really healthy, and that's just the way to put it. He's just like he's a thorn in the paw. It's just every once in a while you're going to get these incidents where you're like, bro, like, what are we doing? And then he's going to come out and paint himself as some weird victim, even though he continues to do these things on his own. 108 to 102. It is a 6-point game now all of a sudden. So OKC, like this ain't over by any stretch in terms of Memphis trying to get back into this thing. We're not even just talking about covering. They're in a good position to do that. But put yourself in some sort of position to still win this game and extend this series. You have just over 2 minutes left to go here. So 6-point game right now. Should also note really quickly, transitioning the Wild and the Golden Knights back out on the ice. We are at the start of the third period now. 2-1 still your score. How about this differential? 23 shots on goal for the Vegas Golden Knights, just 14 for the Minnesota Wild, and they trail right now by 1 goal with 19:51 left to go in the third. Speaking of trailing, it is now a 2-point game. So OKC at 1 point up by 12 in the blink of an eye. We are now 108, 106, 140 left to go in the fourth.
Weird game, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Very strange game. Very strange game. And my apps, I don't know if yours are the same way. My apps are very much behind the live action, more so than usual, I would say.
Really? Behind the live action?
I'm saying the TV is way behind the apps.
Okay, all right.
Like,
all right.
the apps are always ahead, but the apps are ahead more now today than usual.
Oh, okay, all right. I have not really experienced that yet. 1 minute left to go. Here's the other thing, too. I mean, selfishly, can we end this game? I don't need overtime. But we want Clippers and Nuggets. I think I speak for everybody there.
No, I agree. And this is one where I think after game one, you could have hit simulate on the rest of the series. Like, we don't need best of 7 of this. We don't need 4 games of this. This is not going to be a memorable one for sure.
110 to 108. Grizzlies did have possession with 101 left to go in the fourth quarter. But that doesn't seem to be I think we have a turnover here for Memphis. Grizzlies are not happy. So a turnover and then a foul, which I don't really understand why you have.
Frustration foul.
Yeah, like
frustration foul. Pippen thought he got fouled. He turned it over, and then he took out his frustration and whacked Holmgren.
The Thunder
30 points in 37 minutes for Pippen, but that was one.
You can't do that.
That was just he was just mad he didn't get a call. And is this going to be free throws though, or is this one?
Well, the Thunder, I believe, they should. I believe I see them in the bonus. I can't really see it from here. But I believe OKC's in the bonus. Like
Don't you reset after the first 2 minutes? You get fresh fouls. How they are in the bonus.
Yep, they're in the bonus. So yeah, OKC 110-108. It's an abysmal foul. It's a one possession game with 61 seconds left. How do you do that?
He just did it because he was mad. I mean, he really just did it because he was mad.
You foul out here, but I mean, if you're running this team, I'm not patting him on the shoulder. I'm telling him go take a shower, buddy. What the hell?
For sure.
All right, big free throw coming up. Go ahead.
If it did go to overtime, Pippen Jr. is fouled out. Edey is fouled out. So Memphis already short on bodies. This is this is one where I don't think it's going to overtime, but in a 4-point game with a minute or so left, it's at least on the table, and that would not be a good situation for Memphis. Although you know what, when you're down 4 with a minute left, you would settle for overtime as they miss OKC 3. They're fouling again, which you didn't need to foul here. Really, you could have played it out, but this is going to be an OKC victory.
Yes, it is. Okay, so earlier when you and I were off the air, we were chatting. You asked me if there was any interesting players that I was still monitoring in the NFL draft. One of them did just go. A quick aside: Quinn Ewers has been selected by the Miami Dolphins. That is always it's one of those scenarios where you like these late round quarterbacks for teams that are like, look, I think you simulate the season 1,000 times. What are we talking about? Like 800 times? Maybe that's putting a little too much. Like you're not in terms of his play. He's not going to play well. He's not going to play poorly enough to get himself in any hot water when it comes to a guy like Ewers. But Quinn Ewers is a talented quarterback, and Tua gets hurt. He puts out some pretty good tape, and you're in a position if you're Miami to maybe start asking some questions on a group that has not really achieved what you expected them to. So just an interesting pick for Quinn Ewers there.
Wasn't Ewers perceived? Was it last year that maybe he came out and could be
No, you're right. No, you're not wrong. Like, it was thought to be that he was going to be, I'll say like a top 3 in terms of first, second, third round pick.
Yeah. Which I never looked at him that way, and teams now agree. But it's value when you're talking about 6th round for a guy that at one point would have gone in the top 5 or top 3 or whatever. I understand taking a flyer on it for sure.
All right, big three for Memphis, 34.4 left to go, and you're down by 3. So you can play this out, play defense. There's no need to
They don't look
foul.
like they want to. They don't look like they know the rules. They're just looking to foul every point. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And here's the thing. You actually have a differential here. An odd brain fart yesterday. I don't know if you watched the end of that Celtics Magic game.
Did. Oh, my goodness.
I mean, where you have like just over a 3-second different shot clock and game clock. By the way, Shea says game. Hits a step-back jumper mid-range, 116 to 111. We're going to go home here. But the Celtics decide to play defense on a final defensive possession with like a 3-second differential. And then, of course, it's the worst-case scenario where it's a hard jumper that hits back iron and careens back to the backcourt. So it's a long rebound. You got to corral. They give themselves 0.3 of a second left. But they also, I don't think they were viewed to put more time on the clock, which was also one of the weird aspects of that final sequence.
Yeah, because it was when it hit the hands. Could have been like 0.8 or whatever. There were a lot of strange things. We're coming up the break. There were a lot of strange things in that last minute. I will say Orlando, and a lot of teams don't do this, Orlando orchestrated it perfectly where bleed the entire clock, shoot a high arcing shot, and if it's a long rebound, the game is basically over. So that's why you have to foul when there's like a 3-second differential, because if the other team plays it properly, the game's basically over. But there were some bad calls. How about the one where they called it out of bounds and they reviewed it and they gave it to Orlando? Orlando clearly fouled White on that play, and that should have been, instead of Orlando ball, it should have been 2 free throws for the Celtics. Much different game, much different scenario, and then they had the inadvertent whistle. So a very choppy last minute or so of that game.
This summer, go all in at Circa Las Vegas, the ultimate getaway. I'm taking advantage of this, folks. Just $400, you get a 2-night stay at Circa, $100 dining credit, $100 beverage credit, a day bed at Stadium Swim, $400, resort fees and taxes included. Valid for stays between May 26th and September 4th. Lock in your all-in summer package now at circalasvegas.com. Hot deal, man. Hot deal. We got a tie game in Minnesota. VGK takes advantage of another power play opportunity. There are only 2 goals today coming against the Wild when they are shorthanded. Doesn't matter. They all count the same. 2-2 right now. 14:38 left to go in the second. Knights have new life right now. Current in-game numbers for the Vegas Golden Knights. If you can't tell, excitement in my voice, not that I'm a Vegas Golden Knights fan, but for this series I am, as I came back and bet them to win this thing. Series, that is, not this game. Knights are a $1.50 favorite now in a tie game on the road. Plus 120 coming back on Minnesota. 5.5 the total, shaded under at minus 115. But the Vegas Golden Knights tying this thing up, 27 shots on goal. They finally find pay dirt. But a breakaway opportunity here, and that is going to be called back, I believe, offside. So it looked like Minnesota was going to have a shot at it, but that was actually called offside. I have a theory that they never call offside in hockey.
I'll get back to you on that one. What total here? 5.5. Is that the right number?
Depends. Do you think this is going to end in regulation? Because if you don't, you know what I mean? Like, so if you don't think this is going to end in regulation, there is a chance where the winning team goes up 3-2, pull your goaltender, boom, and just like that, you get over the total because of an empty net or whatever it is. So I don't know why you would think one way or the other, whether or not it ends in regulation. Again, the Knights have been pretty limited here. They have outshot them. They have had opportunities. I'd be curious to see what the metrics say after this game. But the only time they have found pay dirt is on against the shorthanded Wild, as opposed to on even strength. So it depends on how you think this thing's going to end. But if you think you get a goal here relatively early in regulation, then I think you're leaning over.
For sure. I mean, we got, 14 left. So as long as you get a goal in the next 13 minutes, you're somewhat likely to get that second goal.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you think, just from a narrative standpoint, or from based on you watching hockey, that playoff game tied, third period, let's play this a little close to the vest, let's be a little conservative, and that makes overtime more likely and not a goal?
Yeah, I mean, you might, especially if you're. I mean, here's the thing: if you're Minnesota, as we have seen, right, like overtime, not that it benefits you, but you're the home team in overtime. Like you have a slight edge there. So maybe Minnesota gets somewhat conservative, but at the same time, look, it's a tie game, not a game in which one of these teams is trailing. I don't think there's a need to be super conservative in a game in which you're tied. I think you're still trying to win this game, especially if you're Minnesota. The allure of going up 3-1, I think, outweighs tying up a series and having to go back out on the road. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Especially against a team. So this was going into the last game. I thought this was an interesting stat. Vegas, this was before this contest here, I think that this is the accurate number, 24-22 against starting goaltenders in this season so far. So they have been picking off some of these second-string guys. I know they beat the crap out of Fleury in one of his starts for the Wild in the regular season. And against starting goaltenders, essentially playing 500 hockey. So not really great. Thunder are going to get this thing done. What was the Did the Grizzlies almost tie this thing?
Yeah, Memphis, so to recap, OKC, and give Memphis credit. They kept fighting back. It looked like a bunch of different times that OKC was just going to, win this game and put the seal on it. Memphis just kept hitting threes and doing whatever. OKC missed a free throw up 2, hit the second one, so they're up 3. OKC did the smart thing, the thing I like. They did foul, and they did it on the catch of a pass. So Memphis went to the line, down 3, made the first. Had a pretty good miss on the second. Whoever was shooting the free throw did a nice line drive right at the hoop, got a nice bounce where Grizzlies got a hand on it and got a tip, but couldn't get it to go. So the game ends 117-115. OKC wins. OKC advances, but the Grizzlies do cover the number. Grizzlies covered the last 2 games. So as dominant as OKC was in that game 1, Memphis could have easily covered game 2. They were within that number a lot, and then they covered game 3, game 4. But this series is over. Not one we're going to remember. As Clippers Nuggets is underway. Nuggets with a nice little start, up 6-3.
Yeah, we talked about this, right? I mean, the Clippers have not gotten off to strong starts in this series. They have been strong first quarters for the Denver Nuggets, and another errant 3 from the corner from Norm Powell. So Nuggets up 6-3 are going to get another offensive possession here, and that is going to be an 8-3 lead to start. So the slow starts continue for the Clippers. It also goes to show, when you talk about these basketball games, Will, why we even try. It's down to 4.5 in game right now with a total of 201.5.
I know. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's just, if you can tell me which team is going to start the game up 8-3, it's much easier. It's hard to know. I mean, first of all, we're doing the shows before the game starts, so it's hard to say. Who do you like in this Nuggets Clippers? Well, I'll just wait for in-game. That's always such a boring answer and a cop-out, but from a betting standpoint, absolutely. You usually, whatever team you like, whatever side you like, for the most part, you're usually going to find a better number in-game. Now, these books are, from what I've noticed, charging more and more juice, where it's just usually minus 115 both ways, minus 117 both ways, where there is a little extra tax in terms of that. But yeah, it's we're sitting here fighting for these points, half points, and you get a good number with the Clippers laying 5.5. You get a bunch of CLV, and then you blink, and all of a sudden you got in a bad number. As the Clippers do answer back 8-5 with a bucket, and it looks like Zubats is going to line for the Chancellor and one.
Interesting. I'm going to double check to see this, but interesting little wrinkle here is Nuggets are opening up with Aaron Gordon on James Harden defensively. So we talked about the fact that they don't really have the size in the backcourt to guard Harden. So looks like the adjustment is, let's put Aaron Gordon on James Harden and let's see if we can live there. Obviously means that we're going to have another mismatch elsewhere, so we'll see if the Clippers take advantage of that. But Gordon there early on taking up the defensive mantle of handling one James Harden. So 8-6, 7:34 left to go in the first quarter there. Just getting started. Game 4, Clippers Nuggets again. Clippers up 2-1 in the series. Michael Porter Jr. with a 3. That is up and that is good. Yeah. 11-6. So that was the other question. Would Porter be healthy? At least from a three-point shooting standpoint, that looked pretty smooth. That was a contested 3 that goes down.
And what's your strategy? You're coaching these undermanned Nuggets. What is your strategy? How do I steal this game other than the Jokic nuclear game? Is it
another Porter Jr.
just bomb
bucket.
Away a bunch of threes? What's that?
Another Porter Jr. bucket in transition. He's got a big, heavy bandage on that shoulder. 13-6 right now.
He does.
Look, I think
I
think what you're doing is, I don't know if you consider like getting the ball out of Kawhi's hands when he has it, but like sending some doubles at him, trying to test him as a passer. I also think, like you said, I mean, it's hard to break out of your DNA as a team. You're starting to try to match some things on offense when you're talking about the three-point shooting, right? Like, you've got to be able to match them somewhat. They're a higher volume shooting team than you, so I think that has a little bit of a problem. But your shortcomings on defense, So what are you going to do? You try something. Yeah. You put Gordon on Harden, you see what's going to happen here. But Brown was on him that time too, so I don't know if I don't have the perfect answer for that, but it does start with playing a little bit better on defense, which is easier said than done.
Is this an opportunity to jump in live on the Clippers if you thought the 6.5, 7 was too expensive? We're
down 3.5. 3.5 with a total of 2 of 7.5. And again, we're 7 minutes into the first quarter. It's a 7-point lead. Like, this can evaporate in a second, especially early on. So I get the desperate Nuggets. Maybe people are turned on by that. But 3.5 for a team that closed pre-flop 6.5 and in some place 7s? Come on now. it's like we said, it's somewhat of a fool's errand to actually bet the NBA pre-flop if you're being serious.
Yeah, no, I understand.
You almost feel jaded. Like, dude, like what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? I was in here on 6. It's 3.5 right now, but we will see.
Yeah, but if it started 10-3 Clippers, all of a sudden, well, you can never get that number now. I mean, it's hard. It's tough.
Betting's hard?
It can be.
Interesting. All right, real quick update here as we are entering the last 10 minutes of the third period. Knights and Wild all knotted up at 2 apiece, minus 150 in favor of the Golden Knights. Total is 5.5, shaded to the under at minus 210. Puck line numbers, if you're so inclined, you can lay a puck and a half with the Knights at at 5-1, or you can lay $9 at plus 1.5 with the Minnesota Wild. We're keeping an eye on NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball in the last couple of minutes here before we take our break. Anything stick out? We've got some lopsided results in the early going, and we do have a couple of games that just got started. Bottom of the first, Boston up 1-0 over Cleveland. Scoreless between Baltimore and Detroit. And then a couple of big leads. Philly up 10-3 over Chicago. And Chicago, the White Sox, up 10-2 over the Athletics. Still knotted up at 2 runs apiece, though, between the Texas Rangers and the San Francisco Giants, though.
Yeah, those Giants, they knew when to score those 2 runs.
I know, right?
To get your fifth inning bet, a push instead of a win. No, nothing jumping out to me. We've had some games called because of rain. I think Yankees were one of them, Yankees, Blue Jays. I do like in a game coming up, I like Atlanta in the first 5 with Holmes going against Kelly. To me, Kelly, you can hit him. He's not overpowering. This Braves lineup is starting to come back from the dead. So I actually think the Braves, that's a reasonable price against an Arizona team, an Arizona offense that has not been great this last week or two. So Atlanta for me is a play.
Speaking of back from the dead, the Vegas Golden Knights, we have another goal. They are up 3-2 right now.
Wow.
Here in this contest. I don't know what happened here. I think is it Hurdle who was on top of a defender just right there on the other side of the goalie for Minnesota. Stone, it looked like, puts a shot on him. Like they're wrestling in front of the net, and it just bounces off Hurdle's body and goes in. That is a goal for Vegas. And that is 3-2, and right now it looks like it's going to stand. Yeah, 9:57 left to go. Tomas Hurdle, his 28th career postseason goal, and that is in. And the Knights lead 3-2, 9:52 left to go in the second. VSiN.com/subscribe. The summer special, folks, it's live. Less than $60. Gets you everything we do up on the site. You get the daily best bets email. You can check out the betting splits from Circa and DraftKings. You can also get expert analysis, some great pieces up on the site. Some of those from Zach Cohen, who joins us next here on Live Bet Saturday. The old cliche, back and forth we go, but not in the NBA. They're doing that. It's 21-15, 3 minutes left to go in the first quarter. Clippers trail by 6 at home to the Denver Nuggets. But no, the back and forth nature of the NHL postseason. The Vegas Golden Knights had taken a 3-2 lead over Minnesota when we went to break. The Wild have answered. It is 3-3 now. So we were talking about this total, Will. We are well over it now. And it is 7.5, shaded to the under, minus 275. Some in-game numbers right now. Knights $1.40 favored, plus 110 coming back. Don't know if you can trust Vegas considering how bad they've played in this game so far. And in this series, we'll see if they can pull it off. Would hope so. But again, a tied game at 3 apiece. A wild couple of minutes while we were on a break. With that, we head out to the Progressive Guest Line. Welcome in our next and only guest of the day. Zach Cohen is here on the program. VSiN.com. You can check out the work there. Zach, always good to talk to you, buddy. All right, any early indications of what we have seen here? 24-17, another slow start for the LA Clippers. It's kind of been the MO in this series so far. They've gotten off the slow starts in the first quarter.
I mean, it does look like to me the Nuggets are looking to push a little bit more. I don't know if that's maybe, a collective effort from them with no Westbrook. They need somebody to play fast, so maybe they're all doing it collectively. But that's the only thing that I've noticed a little bit in this game. I do think the Clippers will come back and win this, but yeah, it's just been a weird series.
What do you have? What are you sweating out in this game?
I have Joker over 26.5 points. I just, saw some numbers last game about it was the least they had doubled him all series. They're kind of leaving him to go one-on-one with Zoo, and Zoo's obviously done a really good job guarding him throughout this series. But I do think, with the Nuggets pretty much having their backs against the wall in this game, I really expected to see an aggressive Joker. And obviously he's got 6 points early on. Maybe he'll slow down a little bit, but I do think he looks a little bit more aggressive. He's trying to find some buckets.
Zach, anytime you have cluster injuries like Denver has with Westbrook being out and Porter Jr. being banged up, there's a domino effect. Do Do you see anything other than Jokic points in terms of who might step up or any other opportunities to bet in terms of the prop market with these Nugget injuries?
I mean, no, I'll just say that I think that Westbrook being out might help the Nuggets at this point. I tweeted that almost as a joke after I saw the injury was announced, but they have horrible spacing when Westbrook is out there. The Clippers are daring him to shoot, and it's really kind of clogging things up. So I think not having him out there, having some more spacing is going to help them a little bit. Obviously, Westbrook brings a little bit in terms of energy and defense, but he's just been hurting them offensively in this series outside of, the big shot he hit to win game one.
All right, we have one more game later today, 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Rockets will take on the Warriors. Numbers up to 3.5 in some spots, total of 205.5. I haven't looked. Do we have an update on what's going on with Jimmy Butler? And do you have anything with this one? Game 3, Warriors looking to take a 2-1 lead.
I believe Butler's going to play. And the last I saw is he's questionable and wants to play. I have the Rockets plus 3.5. This is a big one for me in the contest because I have Rockets plus 2.5. I think everybody else has the Warriors minus 2.5. So this could be a big swing game for me. I think Houston's just looked like the better team for most of this series. I know that was not the case in the first half of game 1, but I love the way they're just dominating the boards. Obviously, we knew that going into the series that their size and aggressiveness on the glass would be a problem for Golden State. Now I just think we're going to get some good shooting games out of guys like Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green. Green had the big one in game 2, finally found his stroke after a really bad game 1. VanVleet has not hit anything in this series, and that's a guy that has won an NBA title before, has hit big shots in doing it. I'd be stunned if we don't see some good games out of him, at least just from, in terms of hitting big shots off the dribble from behind the three-point line. I do think it's going to open things up for Houston a little bit. And I think that the Rockets can continue to kind of make Curry uncomfortable like they did in game 2, and he just didn't get a lot of shots off. And obviously Butler's out there. That will help him a little bit. He needs, just somebody to take some attention away from him. But I do think that the Rockets have the bodies that you need to kind of make him, Butler, and Draymond to an extent work.
Lakers, Timberwolves tomorrow. I think the Timberwolves are in good shape to win this game 4 here and pull ahead. I know Luka was sick in game 3. Maybe that swung the game. But to me, Minnesota has advantages in terms of depth, defense. There's just a lot of boxes that check for Minnesota. Is that how you see this, or do you think LA evens it up and going back to LA here?
Yeah, I'm with you. I was on Minnesota minus 148 in game 2. Game 3. I probably will play the minus 152 in game 4. I just don't think that there's a lot that suggests the Lakers are a better team than the Timberwolves. That's kind of the way I saw it heading into the series. Even if you look at cleaning the glasses lineup stats with, Austin Reeves, LeBron, and Luka playing together, that efficiency differential is just plus 1.2. You look at the Timberwolves since December, they've been plus 6.6 as a team. This has been one of the best teams in the league in the Western Conference, especially since December. When they started the season slow, they kind of figured everything out offensively and defensively. And I do think that there was a lot of talk heading into this series about what the Lakers would be able to do to the Timberwolves when they went small. I think Minnesota likes to play that way. That's when you get Naz Reid and Julius Randle in space being able to attack the basket. Both guys have had really good series, and Anthony Edwards has looked like the best player in the series. So I don't think that the Timberwolves are scared of this matchup at all. I think that Finch has been underrated as an X's and O's coach. I think everybody's kind of saying, JJ Redick's the best, top 5 coach in the league and should be able to figure this out. Finch is really, really good, and I think that he deserves some credit.
I think what's been interesting, too, is like the Lakers, if you look at some of the numbers, Zach, they're shooting like just 60% at the rim. Like they've had nothing inside. The painted area has been a really big problem for them as well. That they can't generate any offense inside of 14 feet against this team.
Yep, and that's where Rudy Gobert deserves some credit. Everybody likes to clown him, but he's been playing really well defending the rim. Also has done a good job of kind of holding his own when he is isolated on Luka on the perimeter. That was, the one where Luka was just killing him last year when the Mavericks beat the Timberwolves. That has not been the case in this series. Gobert's holding his own. That's allowing Minnesota to just be aggressive defensively, and this just looks like a really good team. It's honestly a team that I've thought for a while is a real contender in the Western Conference, and now seeing them play this way against the Lakers, I think that's true.
Real quick, we have breaking news, Will, before you go. We have a Ben Simmons bucket. A runaway dunk there off of a turnover, and Simmons has cut this to a 2-point lead for the Denver Nuggets. 24-22, 37 seconds left to go, and the Clippers have their defensive lineup out there looking pretty good, and hell has officially frozen over because Bogdan Bogdanovic has hit a perimeter shot. All right, Will, what do you got?
Zach, looking ahead to tomorrow again, another game for Boston and Orlando. The market certainly expect Boston to flex its muscles, bounce back, and win and take a commanding 3-1 lead. They're laying 7. Is this too many points? Can Orlando at least make Boston sweat in this series, who've given them a hard time here, at least defensively?
I kind of think Boston's going to get right after that game, but I do want to see the injury report and just see if there are any bodies out for the Celtics, because Orlando is still a very good team defensively. Obviously, the offense is, kind of lackluster, but they were scoring when they needed to in that game. I thought that they played a really complete game. I thought Jamal Mosley did a really good job of getting those guys prepped, but 7 is a lot if the Celtics are going to be missing anybody. So I'm just going to be keeping my eyes peeled for that injury report. If not, I'll probably be looking to the under in that game. I just think it's going to be really, really ugly.
Any shot? Do you go the desperation angle at all? What have we seen now in this series in Cleveland and Miami? Do they have a chance at extending this out in Game 4?
I don't think so. I usually think you get the best punch in Game 3, and by Game 4, it's, they're kind of already ready for the offseason. Obviously, they don't want to be swept. That's something that all these players do look to avoid, but I just think that this would have been the game the Heat would have won this morning, and I just don't really think that they performed at a good enough level to even consider them in Game 4.
All right, we should ask this because Will and I had our frankly, our ugliest argument of our time together earlier today. We were discussing Milwaukee and Indiana. Right now, Milwaukee 4.5 points, total of 226. I argue that Indiana actually has been the better team and that you're not going to get Gary Trent Jr. to score 37 bleeping points again. Will thinks the Bucks have been slept on. Break the tie.
I'm really tempted by the money line with the Pacers. I'm with you. I think that the Pacers have looked like a much better team for most of this series and most of this season. I know Game 3 told a much different story. I think getting to Milwaukee, where that crowd is absolutely insane, definitely helped. But like you said, some of those role players were just blistering hot. With Gary Trent being one of them, I think the Pacers will be a little bit more prepared to slow him down. And I just don't like this Milwaukee defense. I think Indiana is going to be able to exploit it, especially as we look to Game 4. Rick Carlisle going up against Doc Rivers. That's a big coaching mismatch for me. I think that Carlisle is going to find a way to get the Pacers going offensively.
30-second answer, Zach. If it's Thunder Clippers, what's the series price?
I think it's going to be Thunder like minus 225. Maybe I'm way off on that, but I do think the Clippers have a shot.
I do too, man. If it's going to be that far over, my guess was like as high as $1.80. I was ranging from like $1.50 to $1.80, but maybe I'm a little too high on the Clippers. But it also depends too on how they win this series. If they go up 3-1 today and win 4 straight to sweep away in a gentleman's fashion the Nuggets, we'll see if that's the case. Zach, always great to talk to you, man. Thank you very much for the time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Jokic with a 3 at the end of the first quarter. It is 27-23 Nuggets up on top of the Los Angeles Clippers. We'll get you updated numbers there. We had a scary moment, but still all tied up at 3 apiece between the Knights and the Wild in the last 3 minutes there as well. How you feel? You okay? Are you angry at me? With the Bucks?
No, not at all. Why would I be angry at you?
All
By
right.
the way, sloppy bucket by the Clippers.
Yes.
Harden throws a prayer with 1.9 left. On his own side of the court. Nobody touches it. Out of bounds. It leads to a Jokic 3. So that was 3 kind of giveaway points there.
Well, I'm a little angry at you, so I think this is going to be the last show I do with you on Saturday. How about that?
Oh, man.
We'll come back there. We'll wrap up Live Bet Saturday next.
This is Live Bet Saturday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
We head to an extra period of play. We are all knotted up at 3 apiece. The third period ends, and that is all she wrote for regulation. We will see if the Vegas Golden Knights can pull this off in the extras or if the Wild will take a commanding 3-1 series lead. We head to another intermission and overtime between Minnesota and Las Vegas. Some numbers right now as we head into the extra period of play. Current number for the Minnesota Wild, minus 125 for the Knights, even money for the Minnesota Wild there. So 3-3, we will give you that update. We'll probably be up there by the time we really get into the meat of overtime. We also have 10.5 minutes left to go in the second quarter. Nuggets consistently up on top here in this first quarter. We'll see if the Clippers can start to get back into this thing. Like you mentioned, a really lazy possession at the end of the first quarter. Could have been a 20, what were we at, 24-ish, 24-25?
Took it from 2 to 5.
Yeah, 2 to 5, thank you. And a 3 that's given up there. So Denver up 29-24, 10:37 left to go. That is the deficit. Any early observations here for Clippers and Nuggets for you?
Nothing other than it's a very good start for Denver and a start they needed. Where I know it's only up 5 and it's early, but you didn't want to be in position as an underdog, an undermanned team. You just got blown out where you're chasing points and you're down 7, 10 points early. You're up 5. Not that this is a big cushion, but if you can make a little run here, and it looks like Jokic is off the court.
Yes, I was going to notice that. I was going to mention that. Yep.
Yeah, that's a key. So you got to survive these minutes. But if you can ever push this up, and with Jokic, it's a lot to ask, but if you can ever push this up to double digits and give yourself some cushion, you'd feel good, obviously. But a good start, a much-needed good start here. When you're the underdog and as hurt as Denver is, as Murray misses a 3, I think it's very important to not be chasing, which they have been able to avoid at least so far.
So I would say right now, this is the time if you're going to do it to maybe jump on a cheap price for the Clippers. As we talk about our G-Bank best bets. Best bets brought to you by G-Bank. 29-26, 10 minutes left to go in the second. The non-Jokic minutes are obviously big. They've won the non-Jokic minutes over the course of the series. If there is going to be a time to jump on a cheap number, and if there was going to be a time that the Clippers were going to get back into this thing, and hey, I say get back into it. Obviously, they're only down by 3 right now with free throws coming for Jamal Murray. You would think that this is the time that they're going to do it, and maybe by the time Jokic comes back out there, we're talking about a small lead for the Clippers as opposed to a small deficit.
No, would completely agree, and it's just it's a game of whack-a-mole for Denver where if you play Jokic too much, he gets tired and he's ineffective and he's going to start turning the ball over at the end and he's just not going to be the Jokic they need him to be. That being said, if you sit him too long, you're just going to have a hard time keeping up with a Clipper team that's much deeper, that's much more talented.
Big moment here where Ben Simmons called for his 3rd foul already. So with 9:49 left to go in the second, he will hit the bench. Not that he's going to greatly affect what they do on offense for the most part, but he does run their second unit. He is kind of a faux point guard and a pretty good defensive piece to come off the bench for LA. So that is something to monitor as well. When they go a little bit smaller, he can guard Jokic. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. 31-26, 9:46 left to go in the first quarter. Best bets brought to you by G-Bank, who is up in the ante with up to a $750 bonus for new G-Bank Visa Signature Card customers. New customers who spend $1,000 on eligible purchases in the first 90 days get a $250 bonus. And if you spend $50K on gaming and sports app loads within 30 days, you receive another $500 bonus. That's together $750. Apply now at VSiN.com/GBank. That is VSiN.com/GBank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. Did you have anything in the late night baseball window, Will?
No, I mentioned I liked Atlanta. I don't have the board in front of me. I like Atlanta. We'll leave it at that one. I like the Braves there. I think I like the first 5 right around even money as much as anything, just because I think Kelly's very hittable. I like the Braves lineup. Arizona's not swung the bats great since a hot start to the season. So Atlanta first 5 money line. All
right. The other thing we should note, this is not going to get started for just under 2 hours. But Houston and Golden State, we get the official report. Jimmy Butler will be a game-time decision. As as Zach mentioned, the thought, it seems, when you read between the lines, is that Butler is going to give this a go. Be interested to see how much the market moves if and when Jimmy Butler is officially announced as in today. Rockets right now catching 3.5 with a total of 205. Does it get to 4? Does it get to even 4.5? By the way, before I ask you a question and then go immediately to something else, Nick Batum 3 from the left wing, tie game, 31-all, 8:34 left to go. All right, real quick. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. What do you got?
I haven't played this game. I still think you can get Rockets at -125, plus a game and a half for the series. I just think if it's a compromised Butler and you're getting a game and a half, Houston has really mauled them on the glass, 99-69 in rebounds, a bunch of offensive rebounds. To me, I think they can get one of these games in Golden State. If there's no Butler or if there's a diminished Butler, which I think the latter is probably more likely, it's just Curry, and I know how great he is and not much else. You're going to really need something out of these role guys. Pajimski, Moody, Hill. I think the Rockets have an advantage, especially as this series goes on. It becomes every other day for an older Warriors team. So I think the Rockets can force this to 7, if not win the series. So I like getting the game and a half with Houston against a banged-up Warriors team.
Yeah, I went so for the contest today, I went the stale line approach. We were getting 2.5 in the contest, so I laid that. Figured that if Butler's going to play, this is going to close probably about 4, so you're sitting on a good number there. Same thing with the over. The total's interesting, and I don't know, man. Like, I want to ask you, Do we draw a line through game 2? Because we had Zach on, and he said that the Rockets have been the much better team over the course of this series. And I don't argue that's fact, but it should also be noted they've been the better team over the course of this series, largely because of game 2, in which Brandon Bajemski had a stomach flu and Jimmy Butler got hurt with like 3 minutes in. Like, I don't know how much I'm supposed to take away from the Rockets beating the crap out of them when you have certain guys that are never going to see the floor in a playoff game seeing the floor because of what was happening from an injury standpoint.
And these teams, we see it all the time. For whatever reason, these teams just can't get up the same way when they win game 1 on the road. Now, some of it was injuries and illnesses, but they win game 1 on the road. There's some satisfaction that sets in. The numbers are overwhelming. Now, this is a different situation because the 7 seed's the favorite, but we saw it Minnesota and LA. I remember last year Minnesota beat Denver game 1 and then beat them again game 2. That broke like a 20-something game losing streak of teams that steal game 1 on the road, going on to lose game 2 also, or win game 2, vice versa. You know what I mean? It's very hard for these teams. First of all, the team that's down 0-1 is home. They're desperate. They're usually the better team because they have the higher seed. So just for whatever reason, these teams that are down 0-1 or steal game 1 on the road just can't duplicate it in game 2.
Yeah,
go for the knockout.
I mean, Pat Spencer played 12 minutes and took 7 shots for them in game 2. That
says it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough place to be in. That I'm really I'm not running to discount what they did, but Jemski gave you 14, Butler only gave you 8, and you needed to ask some other guys to play some pretty big roles. So I don't know. I go back to game 1 where game 1 they were up by 20. It looked like they were going to run the Rockets off their own home floor, and then of course Rockets clamped down, but. We'll see, but I don't know if you're asking Quentin Post again to play 25 minutes. And maybe you have to. That's always the rub here, is that Jimmy Butler's not fully healthy. They ruled him out very quickly in that second game. That should be noted. He got hurt. He went back to the locker room. There was no questionable to return. 5 minutes later, we got the news that he was out. You do wonder how healthy he is.
And I agree with you completely. He was at least okay. Remember, he shot the free throws.
Yeah.
But after that, he walked off. He walked off very gingerly, and he didn't come back. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think my guess is Butler plays, but I don't know that we see 100% Butler. And then once you get into the every other day nature of this series, that really favors Houston here. So, who did you pick before the series? And we weren't together last week. Who did you pick before the series, and who would you pick now?
I picked I have a bet on the Rockets to win the series because of the price, but I picked Warriors in 7. I thought this was going to be a long series.
That was my pick. So
it wouldn't be shocking, but here in this, and again, I don't have a strong opinion, played the stale number there, but it's going to be curious to see what's going to happen with Butler and if he's going to be fully healthy, because they don't really have an answer for him. And Amen Thompson's good, but I don't think you're shutting down Steph Curry like you did in that one Sunday matchup. 31-31, 7:54 left to go in the first quarter. Nuggets still duking it out without Nikola Jokic on the floor. Again, key minutes here as we're trying to see if the Clippers can take a lead. We mentioned that lane 2.5. There's a 3 that goes down for Jamal Murray, a tough one. Michael Porter again with a 3. 34-31 with 7.5 minutes left to go. Remember, coming up next, as we are all done here, Live Bet Saturday rolls on, followed on by Cashing Out. And then the VSiN Weekend Morning Line tomorrow morning is 7 a.m. with Tim Murray. And then Ready, Set, Bet, all times Eastern. If you're watching up at VSiN.com, we'll take it over from there tomorrow at 1 p.m. Will, in our last 60 seconds, would you like to tell me anything poetic, nice, wonderful? It is our last Live Bet Saturday together for now. I'm sure we'll do another show together in the near future.
Jokic is checked back into the game.
Okay, all right, that's it. That's all I get. 34-31, 7.5 minutes left to go. After carrying the show since football season, this is what I get.
I will miss it. I'm sure. Look, you get to go from me to Stormy, so big upgrade for you. You should probably give some of your salary back. You get to go from me to Stormy. Jeez, that's a nice little trade. But no, man, it's been fun. I'm gonna miss it. So I'm sure we'll be running into each other plenty, but this has been a lot of fun.
And we should also note
nice enough?
Yes, that is very nice. We should also note that you guys are all lucky too, but because I moved from primetime, Will be on Thursdays and Fridays with Matt Heumann. So that is a fun pairing that I know our audience very much enjoys. All right, with that, we are all done. Remember, VSiN.com. Go check that out, folks. We have a lot of great write-ups up there up the website. Check out the summer special and all the tools we have too. But for everybody else, we appreciate it. Always have fun on the weekends. You can see me Monday with Stormy starting at 9 a.m. Pacific time. See you then.